In Chapter 6, questions 6 and 7, we saw that different columns or groups on the periodic table have unique charges. The elements in those columns or groups have unique charges when they become ions. So anything in group 1A gets a +1 charge, anything in group 2A gets a +2 charge, 3A +3, and so on. Now when we went through that, we conveniently skipped over a gigantic part of the periodic table, all of this stuff in the middle, in that valley area. So everything here in this valley area is called a transition metal, because you're transitioning from the left to the right side of the periodic table. And the reason why we skipped over those elements is because they can have multiple charges in different contexts. So for example, iron can sometimes have a 2+ charge and sometimes have a 3+ charge. It all depends on the specific context that it's found in. So you can't assume that they'll always have the same charge in the way that you can assume that for elements in other columns. What that also means is, when you have iron, you can't just say iron, because these two irons, iron 3+ and iron 2+, are different, and by just naming them iron, it wouldn't let you communicate that difference. So, the way you show the difference is to write that charge in Roman numerals in parentheses after the name. Now, the Roman numerals you'd want to know are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say 6. So these Roman numerals, those are the Arabic numbers on the left. The Roman numerals are just an I, 2 is a double I, 3 is a triple I, 4 is an I and a V, 5 is just a V, and 6 is a V and an I. So the way you can distinguish between iron 3+ and iron 2+ is iron 3+ could have the Roman numeral 3 in parentheses after it, and iron 2+ would have the Roman numeral 2 in parentheses after it. And this 3+ here is the same 3 as the 3 in the Roman numeral. And the 2+ is the same as the 2 in the Roman numeral. So those Roman numerals are telling you the specific charge on that particular ion. So let's try to name each of these different ions. We're going to name the element itself, and then after we name the element, we're going to add that Roman numeral that reflects the charge on that ion. So Fe, you can see it, we were just working with it, is iron. So we can call this iron, but it's not just any iron, it's iron, and then we put open parentheses, the Roman numeral 2, because that's the charge on this iron. Okay, how about Cu? Cu, you can see on the periodic table, is copper. So you can say, okay, copper, but this isn't just any copper, this is copper with a 2+ charge. So in parentheses, after the copper, you have the Roman numeral for 2. That 2 is expressing the fact that this is the copper that has a 2+ charge. For zinc, Zn is zinc, you could see it on the periodic table. It's sort of at the top right of the transition metals. Zinc, Zn, but this isn't just any zinc, this is zinc with a 2+ charge, and the Roman numeral 2 is expressing that 2+. Pb is the symbol for lead. You can see that in the periodic table here, Pb. Actually, Pb comes from the same word as plumbing, because the Romans used to use lead as for their pipes, which was clearly a bad idea because you get lead poisoning, but lead is a soft metal. It's easy to hammer into different shapes. So Pb is lead, but this isn't just any lead. This is lead with a 4+ charge. So we would use this Roman numeral 4 to express that 4+ charge. So that Roman numeral is reflecting the fact that this lead has a 4+ charge. Cr is chromium. You can sort of see it up here in the periodic table. So chromium, oops, and this last one I should have written lead, the word. So lead. Okay, so for E, chromium, but it's not just any chromium, it's a chromium with a 3+ charge. So we'd put Roman numerals with a 3, and that Roman numeral there is reflecting the charge on the ion. Last but not least, manganese. Mn is manganese, not to be confused with magnesium. Magnesium is sort of in the top left. Manganese is one of the transition metals. Oops. So this is manganese, and we would write, that this is manganese, but it's not just any manganese, it's manganese that has a 2+ charge. So we put the Roman numeral there, the Roman numeral for 2, to say exactly what charge is on this transition element. So when you name other elements, you don't have to give the Roman numerals. When you name things anything that's not a transition metal, you don't have to give the Roman numerals because the charges are always the same. But when you name the transition metals, so those are the ones in blue here, you have to give the charge on that transition metal as a Roman numeral because the charges on those can be different in different contexts. So you have to say what the charge is in the particular context you're working in. So the Roman numerals tell you what the charge is on that ion.